now we're going to introduce our special guest, wedding MC,
photo booth expert,
and EDI consultant.
Welcome to the Power Pages, Joseph.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ty and Mr. Fly, for having me here today.
Thanks for being here. So you've heard our book review earlier, you've heard us discussing the book, and I actually wanted to ask you about some of the sections that we discussed. We spoke about mirroring and how Christos uses mirroring to reflect back and get the other person to elaborate on what they've been discussing. What role do you think that plays in like daily life and even just communication in general?
Interesting. You know, I think it plays a very big part, you know. And I'll start with marriage, for example, right? Now, with me and my wife, for us, it's very important to be able to communicate back what the other person said. So that way, that other person feels as though, the words have been acknowledged. And then if we look at business and we turn to business, it's important for your client to understand that, what they're saying and their needs and their wants and so forth. So for me, it plays a very big part, and it builds trust within that conversation. I'm right there.
It builds trust?
I say it builds trust, yeah.
How does it build trust?
Well, I feel, in the conversation, as you're having a conversation with the person, if the person believes that you're listening, then the person can trust more as to what you're saying. And then that helps to build that relationship. So for me, I feel we're here to build and maintain relationships.
I tried something there, and I had to carry on with a calibrated question because mirroring, I tried to mirror you there, and you just repeated back what you said. So you said, oh yeah, whatever, it builds trust. And I said, oh, it builds trust? And your words were, oh yeah, it just builds trust. So it completely flopped in this example. I was hoping that you would say, yeah, it builds trust because of X, Y, Z. But that's what kind of Christos kind of talks about. Yeah. Like, that's what it's supposed to do. Yeah. In this example, it failed horribly. But I led with a calibrated question, which we'll come on to later. I mean, I know we spoke about other things, like I think labeling.
Yeah, we spoke about labeling. I mean, he speaks about labeling as in labeling the emotion of what the person's going through, who you might be negotiating with or speaking with. Have you used labeling when you're dealing with someone who's frustrated or upset?
Yeah, I have. I feel a lot of the time when I'm speaking with clients or just friends, all right, depending on how they feel, depending on how they're acting, I would feed off that. And I say feed off that, but I pay attention to how they feel. I might be quite, loud at the very beginning, but depending on how that person feels, I kind of tone it down a bit. I kind of make sure that they feel comfortable with me. And if they feel comfortable with me, then they're able to open up a bit more because you're able to find out why are they upset, why are they frustrated.
Would you, if they said to you, okay, I'm angry, so they label it, or would you label it, or would you let them label it? If you did, with that information, what would you do off the back? If they said to you, I'm angry, what would you do after that?
I'd answer why. I normally would always, I wouldn't label that for the person, but if they're saying it, then I'll run with that, because if they're not angry and I say, so you're angry, now the person's angry, now the person's thinking about that, now the person's either frustrated because I've said you're frustrated.
It's interesting, sorry, Tyler, because in the book, obviously, Chris Voss mentions it, he actually does label it. Okay. So he would actually say, you're angry, but you're right, there's another perspective there where they might say, oh, you're not listening to me, you're jumping to conclusions. So it's actually a different approach, is to maybe let them tell you. Also, potentially, they could correct you, and then open. So it's all about, again, we mentioned about communication, but that's a good point I think you raised.
Yeah, I think it's good to, as you said, it's good to show that you're listening as opposed to assuming, because assumption sometimes doesn't allow the conversation to go the way it's meant to go, if that makes sense.
I think after, again, emotional intelligence.
And I think as well, he talks about the specific words that he uses. He doesn't say you're angry. Yeah. He says, it seems like you're angry. Seems, okay. It looks like you're angry. Yeah. So he puts a caveat. He leaves room for like you to correct me. Yeah. I'm not saying, no, you're angry. Yeah. That's I guess a judgment.
It creates a corridor where you can say, well, it might seem that way, but I'm actually this. But again, it's not judgy. It doesn't sound judgy. Do you see what I mean? So it's very smart. Again, I think it shows that, it's that emotional intelligence. It shows that, and again, you're listening, because if that says it's like you seem upset or you seem annoyed, that means that they're letting off something that is giving you that sort of information, that data that you're going by. So yeah.
But based on what we discussed, do you think that could be a useful method, I guess, for you to apply to daily life or marriage, you said, or business? Like, oh, it seems like you think my price is unfair. Perhaps if we're in a business negotiation, yeah. Can you?
I think, yeah, in whether it be relationship, whether it be business, whatever it is, even just that one word, it seems, not that you are, but seems, that leaves rooms for maneuver, as you said, and I feel, yeah, whether it be older generation, younger generation, it's important to be able to express yourself in a great way.
Yeah, okay, definitely. Would you say something?
No, I was just going to ask, is there, has this kind of motivated you to kind of maybe read the book or start reading the book?
After watching you, yes, both of you.
We haven't forced this answer, by the way. This is generally organic, I promise.
No, the book, I'm very interested in the book. The way you two are so passionate and you speak about it, I'm like, I have to read this book. I have to actually read this book.
And I mean, I'm going to go way off here. We was talking a little bit off camera about when we're going to start reading. So, I just want to ask you when you're going to start reading. How are you going to implement it into your...
If I can direct myself to buy the book today, I'm going to buy the book today and start the book today. So by the time, by within 30 days, I would have read the book.
Joseph, as a guest today,
yes,
we're going to give you a copy of the...
Oh, you want to give me a copy?
We're going to give you a copy.
Oh,
I think
thank
Tyler
you
just got... Yeah, I think we're going to do that.
Yeah.